Hello everyone. I thought it might be a fun thing to do a video about some of my very favorite books. And so I gathered a stack of them and I thought I would just go through them quickly and tell you why I love them so much. And then in the description box below, I will leave the names and the authors of all of these books. So I'm just going to go through them one by one and just sort of tell you why I love them. And one of the things I get asked quite a bit from people who are looking into trying drawing and watercolor, and especially people who want to do botanical art, a lot of people ask me, what are your favorite books to learn how to draw or to learn watercolor or to learn botanical art? And I have 3. So I'm going to show you those. And the first one is called Botany for the Artist by Sarah Simblett. This book has been really, really important and influential for me. And look at me, I was trying to be pretty and it's just going to be in the way. My box of treasures. So this book is by one of my favorite artists, Sarah Simblett. She is a British artist and teacher at the Ruskin School of Drawing at Oxford. And Sarah works mostly in pen and ink. Actually, almost all in pen and ink. But what this book is amazing for, first of all, it's an amazing read. It's really fascinating. And she has some beautiful, beautiful drawings in this book that you can study. And she talks to you about how to do them. She's very instructive on how to do pen and ink drawings and even some watercolor. But what is so wonderful about this book are the images. It is just rife with beautiful images that you can use to practice your own drawing skills. So they're very up close and detailed, things that you can pour through and find a subject to try. And then you can see examples that she did. And she goes through the entire spectrum of plants, of the plant kingdom. So here, like ferns and fern drawings, it is really an amazing, amazing book. So Botany for the Artist by Sarah Simblett, one of my very, very favorite books that I own. And I buy most of my books used online, but certainly I've seen them all on Amazon too. So this one is also by Sarah, and it is called Sketchbook for the Artist. And I want to say that it had a different name in the UK, but it was similar, but the cover is the same. But this book is just amazing. It is an amazing book. And what I love about it is that it goes through all drawing mediums. So it goes through graphite and ink and charcoal and silver point and watercolor and pastel and everything. It is very, very detailed. It goes through, she has a lot of images from famous artists throughout time. She talks extensively about tools and materials, which is always fascinating to me, and it's very instructional. I love her style. I love her approach to drawing. She's got a wonderful approach. She's not a measurer, which I really like. I don't use rulers or compasses or anything like that. She is all about learning to see. So, and blocking in shapes and all of those things that I love to do as well. But this book is just stunning and so inspirational, and her drawings are fabulous. So this one, Sketchbook for the Artist by Sarah Simblett. And I'm just gonna make sure that these are on camera. Well, yeah, pretty good. I think this is the biggest book of them all. Okay, so another book that is very much in the botanical side of things is this one. It's the Botanical Illustration Course with the Eden Project. And this is one of the first books that I bought myself, and it is well used. And it's a beautiful book. It goes through many, many, many types of botanical styles. It talks about color and mixing watercolor. It talks about graphite drawings. And it's very, very instructional if your interest is botanical art. So I can't recommend it highly enough. It really, really helped me. It also has wonderful things that you can just try for yourself, for your practice and your learning. It is a little bit more in depth than some people might be looking for, but if you are interested at all in botanical illustration or botanical art, this is a fabulous book. And then I'm going to get into things that aren't quite so fussy. This book I've had for several years, and I've read it a couple times, and while it belonged to Mary and Jim. Enjoy the process, she says. I love it. But it's not quite my style. The colors are very bold and rich and beautiful, but it's not my personal aesthetic, but it might be yours. And it's absolutely gorgeous. But what I love about this book is her approach and how she goes about explaining the benefits of drawing as a spiritual practice or as a meditative practice. So this one is really lovely, and she also combines words with her images. She does mostly pen and ink drawings with beautiful watercolor washes. So it's a very inspiring book. I've read it several times actually, and just pick it up now and then. The other thing, it has beautiful quotes in it that are inspiring. These aren't, when I recommend a book, they're not always completely my personal viewpoint, but I think they're really, really great to read. And I'm the kind of person who likes to learn from everybody. And I just soak it all in, and some of it makes its way through into my work and some of it doesn't. But I still learn something from it. So this has been a really nice book. The Artful Journal, A Spiritual Quest by Maureen Carey, Raymond Fox, and Jacqueline Penny. Again, I'll leave all of this information for you. And then another one that's sort of in the same category as that last one is called The Artist's Rule. And this is by Christine Walters Paintner, author of Water, Wind, Earth, and Fire. And this is called The Artist's Rule, a 12-week journey, nurturing your creative soul with monastic wisdom. So this book is a 12-week sort of workshop. And it's based on the contemplative practices and the daily ritual of monasticism, so monks and nuns in a monastery. And so she goes through all the different parts of that, and talking about silence and solitude and walking and lectio divina, and how we can work these types of quieting, calming, grounding spiritual practices into our art practice, no matter what your spirituality is based on. These are very beautiful things to read about and perhaps incorporate into your own practice. And I really like this book. I don't love all of it, but I like a lot of it, and it was very influential on me. So this is another really, really nice one to have. Again, you can find these books all used for sure. And then comes my dear Frederick Franck. And I have devoured 4 of his books in the last 3 weeks. And I just ordered 2 more out-of-print books used online this morning. Really reasonable, like $5, So that's the beauty of books that are out of print. Sometimes you can get them for a great price. I'm going to take a drink of tea. Hold on. My throat's a little scratchy today. So this is the first book that I had, and I actually had it for quite a while. I bought it several years ago and looked through it and offered it to students as something they might want to read, but I never really read it and took it to heart. And it's amazing to me because when I read this book, when I really, really sat down and read it, it was totally affirming to my own personal beliefs. I felt like everything he said was what I believe and what I have learned. And so, but it's so much richer even, I've learned so much from these books. But this is the first one I bought, and it's called The Zen of Seeing Drawing as Meditation. And He hand wrote his books, so they're all in his handwriting, but they're not hard to read at all. And they are full of his beautiful, beautiful pen and ink drawings. I just love them. I just can't say it enough. I've learned so much from reading these books, and I will read them all again. In fact, I'm going to start one of them again tonight while I'm waiting for the others, the new ones to come. So this is the first one, The Zen of Seeing. And these books, they all come from the same place. They're all written by the same man with the same philosophy and the same experiences, but they kind of were written at different times of his life. And so he looks back on what he wrote here and he writes more and he tells us about what he's learned. And I don't know, in each one of them, I felt more inspired and more sure of my path. So wonderful. So this one is called The Awakened Eye, a companion volume to The Zen of Seeing, which is the one I showed you first, also by Frederick, Franck. Same thing, beautiful, beautiful pen and ink drawings and his handwritten words. He talks a lot about Zen philosophy, and he has beautiful quotes, and he's very insightful. He also talks about some Christian philosophy. He's very centered. I wouldn't say it's not about a religion at all, but he just brings certain ideas into what he talks about. It's really remarkable. So that's the second one I read. And then I read Art as a Way. I returned to the spiritual roots. Same kind of philosophy, same beautiful drawings, handwritten text. Each one of them had different things to teach me, so I love them all. And then the last one was Zen Seeing, Zen Drawing, Meditation in Action. This might be my favorite. I don't know. There's something about the size of it, and it's just so lovely. And when you look inside, the ink is like this beautiful eggplant color. All of the drawings were printed in that color too. But just exquisite. The drawings are exquisite. I don't know. I just love them all. So those are the Frederick Franck books. So I'm very, very influenced by the Japanese aesthetic and philosophy about art and art making. And this book came to me a while ago, and when I first read this, it just blew my mind. It is basically a book written by potters. So in the beginning, it's got a lot of beautiful images of Japanese pottery and art. But once you get into the text, the authors are such a pretty book too. Yanagi and Bernard Leach. So if you know anything about ceramics, I'm certain that you've heard of them, and I love ceramics. So also Shoji Hamada wrote about the two of them. This book is underlined and all over. But this book is very much about the idea of creating art as something that is useful and beautiful and simple and quiet, and that is meant to be enjoyed by everyone. That is, it's not meant for the richest people in the world who can afford beautiful paintings for their walls. It's for the everyday person like you and I, or you know, just, it's for everyone. It's also for the very wealthy. I mean, it's for everyone. But there's something very special about this book, and it really solidified some of my beliefs that are sort of unpopular among artists. And one of the things, and I talked about this in my video about the chop and my monogram, is that artists from a certain period of beautiful pottery, Asian pottery, it was the Sung dynasty, they did not sign their work. And they didn't sign their work because it wasn't about them. It was about the collective whole of beauty, and it was about the work itself. And for a long time, I considered not signing my work, but of course that doesn't work because people that were buying my paintings and collecting them and those kinds of things wanted my signature on them. So that's why I created my monogram, to have something that was unobtrusive and didn't like blare my name, but that did give my stamp on it. So that's one of the things that I love about this book. But it also talks about the Buddhist and the Japanese aesthetics of beauty. And I'm just telling you, it's pretty wonderful stuff. So it goes into a lot about the tea ceremony, and I don't know, it's a lovely book, and I highly recommend this book. It's probably been the most influential book for me as an artist. So another one, kind of actually two that are sort of along the same tract. This one is by Donald Ritchie. These are both very small books, and this one is called A Tractate on Japanese Aesthetics, and it goes through all of the different terms that are used to describe Japanese aesthetics. It's a beautiful little book too, and was very informative. It wasn't my favorite, but it's very useful, and I've read it twice. So this is a small one. If you wanted to explore Japanese aesthetics, this would be a nice one to get. And then there is, I'll never say this right, but Junichiro Tanizaki, and this one is called In Praise of Shadows. I just love the title, but this book is all about shadows, and I learned so many things from this book, and it's very much about the importance of shadow and light, and how shadow and light interplay with one another, and how important that is to beauty and aesthetics. I learned that Japanese homes are created with very, very wide eaves. And the reason why is because they don't want any direct light in their house. So all the light that comes in is filtered through these heavy eaves on the homes, and then also through rice paper screens. So they get this soft, almost candlelit effect all the time. But anyways, this was a lovely book, and I will read this again. So In Praise of Shadows by Junichiro Tanizaki. And then the last two that I want to show you, my very favorite is at my studio, and I actually think someone borrowed it from me. But I have, I think, 5 of Danny Gregory's books, and you can see they're really beat up. I've used them and used them and used them. And I bring these to my drawing classes a lot. But Danny Gregory is an amazing artist and illustrator and teacher. He is a teacher through and through, and I love him and his way about art and the way he helps other people overcome their fears about art. And the one that I really, really love and that I read first is called Creative License, and I will list that down below. And that was a very influential book for me. And it gave me the freedom to see things the way I see them, and to share that with other people, that we all see things differently, and that our art doesn't have to be like anyone else's. So it helped me overcome my fears. It was a wonderful book. This one, Art Before Breakfast, A Zillion Ways to Be More Creative No Matter How Busy You Are. What a great thing, right? And so this book just goes through all of our excuses and the ways we can overcome them, why it matters, and then it just gives you so many ideas about oh, my Goulet pen's bookmark. So many ideas about how you can create art in very little time and get yourself on track. So it's a definite style, and it's a lovely style, and this might really appeal to you and inspire you. So I highly recommend it. It's just wonderful stuff. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Love him. And then the other one I have here is called An Illustrated Life, and it's called Drawing Inspiration from the Private Sketchbooks of Artists, Illustrators, and Designers. And let me tell you, I can't even tell you how many hours and hours I've poured through this. I love looking at other artists' sketchbooks. And each artist has an interview. They talk about their tools and materials, how they go about things, what their sketchbooks mean to them. It is fascinating. So diverse, so beautiful, and gosh, it really instilled in me how important it is to show up to my sketchbook every day, especially when you see artists with just shelves and shelves of their own sketchbooks that they've completed. Very inspiring book and really beautiful, and you'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot. So this is also by Danny Gregory. So those are my favorite books. My favorite art books, and I guess they're not exactly. The other one that I should mention is John Ruskin, which I've mentioned many times, but John Ruskin, The Elements of Drawing. And you can still buy it, it's still in print. I printed mine off from a free version on the internet. So if you search for the Elements of Drawing by John Ruskin, you can download the book and print it yourself. I sent it to the printer and he bound it for me in a spiral binding for under $10. So that is another one. That's the book that I actually used to teach myself to draw, but it's a hefty book, and I would say it can be intimidating. These books here are much softer and kinder teachers. But Ruskin, if you really want to be serious about drawing, that is the book. So I hope this was helpful. I will leave all the names and authors below. And yeah, I just thought I'd share my favorite books with you. And I hope you're having a great day. And thank you, as always, for being here. Thank you.